Hi everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Zero to One. Now, some of you may be looking at this and thinking, hang on a minute, did we do this before? This is actually a rescheduled event from a few weeks back now. Unfortunately, Ben wasn't able to make it that time, but we're really excited to bring the session in its actuality this time as well. So we're really excited to kick this one off, and it's a big focus area for us as those of you on the call or those of you watching afterwards might realize there are many members of Blue Circle who work in a flexible capacity, be it a freelancer, fractional consultant, something of that nature, or a solopreneur as is in the title. And quite often they're kind of beginning from zero and they don't necessarily know exactly what tools they need or how to go and find clients or maybe how to just stay organized in what is sometimes a very messy schedule when they're working maybe with global brands or maybe they work at night time and in the daytime do something else or whatever it might be. So the reality is that it's not an easy path, but we're here to support and we're excited that Ben was going to share some wisdom from his side as well on how you can get started with more confidence as well. So without further ado, we'll let Ben, if you want to introduce yourself, and then I'll stop sharing my screen in a second and then you can jump into the slides as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, everyone, for the invite, and thank you also for rescheduling. Unfortunately, I got hit with a wave of pre-summer sicknesses a couple months back, but I'm happy to be here and healthy, and assuming I don't melt, because it's one of these rare days in northern Germany where it's over 30 degrees, and you know it's rare because no one in northern Germany owns any air conditioning. So you can count on one hand the amount of days that get so hot that you would want an air conditioning unit. So if I start melting, it's because it's unseasonably warm here in Hamburg, and I have to close all the windows to make sure the street noise doesn't filter in here. But I'm pretty sure I can sweat through it. I've got some water over on the side here. So just call for the authorities or the ambulance in case it looks like I've just passed out.
Will do.
Let me set up here all the tech before I launch into it. I am only on one screen, and I was trying to share my full screen,
Yeah,
but
there we go.
you'll just have to look at a bit of the browser with me, unless there's
It's
some way
okay.
to edit this. Is there some way to edit this? Can I? Nope. Never mind. That's all right. Anyways, so thanks again, everyone. I really appreciate that you're taking the time to join us today. And of course, I want to start this talk by thanking Doer Circle, not only for organizing this event, but of course also for partnering with Scope to help independent doers like yourselves to build beautiful, successful businesses that hopefully just make you oh so happy. And yeah, again, my name is Ben. I work for an all-in-one small business platform called Fullscope, and I am here to help you start smarter. So I am in charge of customer success over at Fullscope, which means I work directly with our customers to help them to start and scale their businesses. We have all kinds of businesses on the platform, everything from virtual assistants to online tutors to creative freelancers in audio, video, you name it, areas. People who are launching small businesses, local businesses, digital products. And so I've seen it all. And I also come from a background a bit of as an entrepreneur. So I've also launched my own businesses, been there, done that, failed a whole lot. And I'm hoping to bring some good ideas to you, not only from my experience, but from the experience that I've seen in dozens, if not hundreds, of other businesses at this point as well. So we want to build your business in a way that is strategic and sustainable. And whether you're freelancing, consulting, coaching, or just launching a solo venture, you need more than ideas. You really need some systems, some helpful systems that are going to take the weight off of your shoulders of having to really, spend all that mental energy every single day asking yourself that question, what am I doing? How do I do it? Is it going to work? Systems are going to help you with this. So I'm going to walk you today through the four systems that I believe every one of you is going to need to launch your business with clarity and confidence. So let's get started. So, what are the four systems in the first place? Number one, you really need to have an offer. So, what exactly are you selling and to whom are you selling it? Number two, you're going to need some kind of idea about your client flow. So, this is what happens after someone is expressing interest in your product or service. What is going to take place once that happens? Thirdly, you're going to need a system for outreach. So you need to have a system that's helping you to find people to sell your products or services to. Obviously, without customers, you don't have a business at all. And finally, your online presence. It's no surprise, it's 2025. Your business is almost certainly going to need to show up online. So, how are people going to find you online? Where are they going to find you online? And how can you take that attention that you grab from your potential customers online and, of course, turn it into money for your business? So these four systems are your business's foundation, and they make up the engine that drives your success. So if you build these out thoughtfully, you avoid the trap of constantly guessing, like I mentioned, what to do next. What do I even do here with my business? How do I do all of this stuff? So let's dive into these in a bit more detail. Number one, before anything else, you need an offer. You need a clear offer. So before you worry about branding or marketing or a logo or even your business name, you need a crystal clear offer, an offer that tells people who you help, what you help them with, and why it matters to them in the first place. And this is really uh, step one for any business, because if your offer isn't clear, if it isn't clear what you sell and to whom you sell it to and why they would even want to buy it in the first place, everything else you do from this point will be a waste of your time. So the offer is really, really key. So what makes a strong offer? Well, number one, a strong offer solves specific problems. So you don't just say, let's say you're a videographer. You don't just say, "Hey, I do videos." That's not clear. That's not solving a specific problem. A specific problem would be, I make beautiful video memories of your wedding that you can cherish for your entire life. Something like that. Number two, a strong offer is outcome driven. So it means that people can envision their life or their business improving because of your product or service. They have a clear idea of what value your offer brings them. Thirdly, you need to tailor your offer to a niche. So a specific audience that you are speaking to, because you can't sell something to everyone. This unless you're Coca-Cola or Apple, maybe you could sell something to everyone, but even Coca-Cola have Pepsi and Android to compete with. So, and fourthly, a good offer, a strong offer is easy to understand because a confused customer will never buy your product. So your goal is not to be clever or funny or quirky without clarity. It has to be absolutely crystal clear why, again, that why your product or your service is interesting to your customer, right? So I've brought with me a little template that will hopefully help you to kind of put this into words, or at least begin to put it into words. So the idea is to fill out this sentence with what your product or service does. So I help, insert customer here, do or achieve, insert outcome here, without painful thing, because nobody likes pain. Usually, if people are coming to you, it's because they have a specific problem they're wanting to solve. And that problem is annoying to them, it's painful to them, and it's more valuable for them to spend money solving it than to let it continue, right? So this is not just a slogan, it really helps you to test the clarity of your offer. If you can't fill this in confidently, then you probably need to refine what it is your business is selling in the first place. So think about your ideal client. What result are they actually after? What are they sick of struggling with? That is your offer in a nutshell. So, for example, I help new business owners launch their first website without tech overwhelm. So here we're very specific. We're not targeting all business owners. We're targeting new business owners. And I would say you could even go more specifically and target a particular industry. So I help new dog grooming business owners, whatever it might be, launch their first website. So these are people who have never had a website. They probably don't know what the heck to do. And they're probably struggling with this overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, all this website technology, WordPress, what the heck is this? How do I do that? So that's that painful thing that they're overcoming, right? Here's another example for you. In case you're not alone or you're representing your team, you could say, hey, our product helps remote teams stay in sync without noisy Slack channels or endless Zoom calls. So this could be a new communication tool that you're developing. You think it's going to be better than the competitors, and you're targeting people who, for one reason or the other, just don't enjoy Slack, don't enjoy Zoom, and they are looking for something else to solve that problem, right? Finally, here's another one. I make eco-friendly candles that smell amazing without the headache. So there's a great target audience for you. So people who want candles but have a sensitive nasal system or whatever it might be, and only the most pure, organic, eco-friendly candles are going to be lit in their household because all of those synthetic ones give them a headache and they hate them, right? So again, I help who do achieve what without painful thing. And there are other templates that are very similar to this. I suggest maybe Googling these types of things. You might find another one that is just clicks with you or your offer in a more interesting way. But one way or another, it kind of gets to that elevator pitch idea of being able to encapsulate what it is you do for who and in just a very short sound bite. Because again, clarity is king. If you have to ramble on for 5 minutes for people to understand what it is your business actually could do for them, you are not going to sell confidently to customers, and you're going to have a very difficult time getting your business off the ground. So that much to the offer. Now we're going to move on to client flow. So this is for what happens after someone reaches out or expresses interest in your offer. Now, I want to be clear. I want to add some clarity here about client flow because we don't want to spend months and months and months tweaking and optimizing client flow systems and strategies for a business that doesn't have clients yet. But at the same time, you do need to have an idea, at least a basic one, of what will happen when that first customer really walks through the door. What are you going to do first, second, third? What are they going to receive from you? How are you going to move forward for their business? How do you deliver your product? Whatever it might be, right? So this answers the question that what happens after someone says, I'm interested, right? So most people don't think this through because to them it's very clear in their own mind what their clients are getting, but it's not clear in your client's mind. And it's very possible that they will ask questions about what happens next, right? If people are thinking of giving you money, I guarantee they're going to ask, what happens after I give you my money, right? And if you don't have a clear, concise answer, they might reconsider doing business with you in the first place. So what I suggest you do is kind of define at least, simply on one sheet of paper, what the process between a customer buying your product or service and a 5-star review would be. And I specify the 5-star review because we don't want to just consider what happens when someone says, oh, cool, I like the service you provide, I'm going to hire you. We want to think through how will this service be delivered in a way where they are just raving crazy mad about how awesome you were and can't wait to recommend you to all their friends and basically become a free salesperson for your business, right? So it's not enough to deliver your product or service. You want to ensure a fantastic customer experience along the way. And if you're just starting a business, again, you don't need to spend weeks designing the most in-depth client flow, but let's create an outline of the customer's journey. And here are some key things to consider. First of all, payments and contracts. So, how do you actually get paid? When will you get paid? If it's necessary for your industry or your product or service, is there any kind of contract that's going to be involved? I guarantee if someone goes to hire a lawyer and that lawyer doesn't offer them some kind of contract that they need to sign, they're going to think, how serious could this lawyer possibly be? They don't even have any paperwork, any documentation. Like, this is really, really sketchy stuff, right? You wouldn't want to hire a lawyer with no paperwork involved. You wouldn't want to purchase an insurance with no paperwork that details what exactly the insurance is insuring you for, right? So, depending on your industry and your customers and their sensibilities, you may or may not need, more or less legal clarity. Another thing to consider is onboarding. So, when a customer says, "Yes, I'm hiring you, here's your first payment," or "Yes, I want this product, I've ordered it online," so what do they receive first? Do they receive a confirmation email? Do they receive some materials or information? Do they get a link to a form that they need to fill out for you to intake all of the information that you need to provide your service in the right way to them? So, what information do you need from the customer to do a great job? And what is going to happen in those very first hours or days after they actually come and purchase your service or product? And another one to consider, milestones. So, are there any key deliverables or checkpoints along the way, particularly, if you're a service provider and you are engaging in contracts that perhaps go on for many months. Let's say, for example, you're building an app for a customer. Obviously, the customer is not just going to sit on their hands for 9 months and not hear anything from you and just expect and be confident that in 9 months from now you're going to just drop a fully finished app on their on their doorstep and say thanks, give me my money and leave. So what kind of milestones will there be? When will you be checking in with the client? What will you be showing them, if anything? So again, this milestones might be something more for service providers rather than for a product-based business, depending on what it is you do. But either way, again, so we just want to at the least generally think this through so that if potential customers start asking, "Oh, okay, so you're going to do this for me. It's going to take, 6 months. Okay, great. So what can I expect in like 3 months' time? How am I going to know things are going well?" A quality customer is going to ask quality questions like that, right? And they're going to expect quality answers. So, sketching out this system doesn't just save you time; it also helps you provide, again, you're going to hear this word a lot, more clarity to potential customers, which further increases their trust in your expertise and just the likelihood of them actually becoming your customer in the first place, right?
And sorry, just a quick one.
Yes,
Thank
please.
you for sharing that bit as well. So would you rather do the Q&A bit at the end, or if because there was a question that came in just now about the onboarding bit. I don't know, do you want to do that bit now, or would you rather?
Oh, no, yeah, we can just do it as we go through. That's fine by
Okay.
me.
So the question said, what would a good onboarding process look like? Because I think you mentioned a little bit more about, having being prepared for that. And I fully
Right.
agree with you on that as well, because I think things can fall down quite quickly otherwise. Even if you've got a great product or service that you're offering.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think no matter what you're doing, a good onboarding is going to collect all the information that you need from your customer to do a fantastic 5-star review job in as little time and with as little headache as possible, right? So this is really, especially if you're doing something maybe let's say more complex, it's worth spending some time and maybe creating a list of good questions to have ready for customers for the onboarding, or maybe even creating an intake form with a form tool, something like this. That's also going to make it really look like, oh, this person's obviously done this before. They even have a form for me to just fill out. All I have to do is
Yeah.
enter the information and click submit, and I'm going to get my product or service, whatever it might be. So it doesn't matter how simple or how complex it is. You just want to get that customer information that you need in the easiest way possible and hopefully without confusing the customer along the way. So let's say you build websites. You're going to need to know from the customer, hey, do they own their domain yet? Or do I need to purchase and manage a domain for them? Do they have a logo and other visual assets that I need them to upload them somewhere so that I can have them and am ready to work with them? Do those assets need to be in a particular format? Are they the kind of customer that understands delivering them in that kind of format, or am I going to need to help them with that? How many website pages are there going to be? What colors do they use? Et cetera, et cetera. Do they already have copy, or am I supposed to insert some dummy text that they can fill in later? So you just need to, again, think it through so that the more and more the customer talks to you, the more and more they realize, oh, this person is a consummate professional. They know exactly what they need from me, and they're explaining it to me in a way that I can understand and provide that information to them without getting a headache or feeling like I have no idea what's going on and what the hell I just signed up to pay for.
Yeah, love that. I think it's a great answer. And last bit I would just add on that, as you said, is like the perception of quality as well really helps when there are businesses out there that are just dipping their toes in bringing in flexible talent, be it a solopreneur or a contractor, something of that nature. So I think that reassurance you can give them as soon as possible helps them, be more confident that actually, yeah, maybe I should have done this a long time ago and tapped into the talent that's available. So yeah, I think it's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. We just want to have something in place that shows that we know what we're doing. We know how this process is going to function. And all of that is going to just inspire more and more trust in your customer, which is going to make them happy. It's going to make working with you easier. And it's just going to make the whole process more smooth.
There is another question, but I don't know if maybe this might touch into the next bits that you're doing. So you let me know if maybe we want to address it afterwards. But the question was, how do you make your value statement stand out when everyone in your niche is solving the same pain point? I guess it's slightly in
Mm.
the office phase, but it could also be in how you reach out to people.
Yeah, well, it's I always find the discussions about, that unique selling point are sometimes, in my opinion, a bit disingenuous because there are billions of people all over the world who are
Yeah.
providing similar services. So not every single person in the world who, I'll take website stuff, for example, who is building websites for customers has some mind-blowing, unique, oh my God, like this person is totally different from everyone else thing
Yeah.
that they can offer. But at the same time, they're in an industry where that can employ that many people. That means there are also many, many, many customers. So you don't have to sweat it too much. This idea of being the most unique, the most standout, the most an outrageous offer and value prospect that anyone has ever heard. But I bet you could consider a way to just deliver that same uh, value statement in an even more clear way, or deliver it to a even more specific niche that makes you stand out because you serve a very, very specific niche rather than a very, very large pool of people. So things like this. So, it's a combination of all those things of niching down, of having of having a clear offer. So you don't only have to be some unicorn-esque individual that, for one reason or the other, the most unique thing that anyone's ever seen in your industry. There
Mm.
are more than one ways to stand out and more than one ways to stand out compared to the competition. So I mean, this stuff is not that easy. A lot of people have a hard time presenting their offer clearly. So if you can do it and the next guy can't, you're more likely to get the work than them, right? So, and
Yeah.
maybe it will be another few ideas in here, and we can always talk about that in even more length once we're done.
Great. Thanks, man.
Okay. So our next system is outreach, so finding customers, obviously, right? Um, Outreach is your growth engine. You really need a repeatable way to find and connect with people who could use your product or service. And there is no perfect solution here. But a system is going to be your friend because no one, I mean, especially when you're just starting out, especially if you maybe have a bit of pressure on you in terms of you're like, oh man, I got to pay the bills. I've got a family to feed. I need to make money. You don't want to be waking up every day and trying a new idea over, new idea every single day of the week of trying to find customers. You need to have a system in place and a concept in place that is going to be a winner for your business and for also the way that you do business yourself. So just randomly posting on TikTok is not a strategy. So here are some options. As you can see, some of them are going to cost you money, others will cost time, and none of them are a perfect fix for any business. But these two currencies, I think time and money, are the ones that you do need to consider when you are thinking about finding customers. So number one, there is direct outreach. So this would be cold calling, cold messaging potential customers, on LinkedIn or maybe over email, Instagram, whatever it might be. This will take a lot of your time. But what I love about direct outreach is it allows you a chance to get direct customer feedback on your pitch, on your proposal. And the great thing about direct outreach is that most people are too scared of rejection to try this in the first place. Most people are too terrified to do a cold call. And I would suggest everyone do at least 10 cold calls in their life, even if you don't have a business, just to it's like bungee jumping. It's like when you're standing up there looking down, it seems so terrifying. Once you do it, you just have taken all the fear out of the idea. And it's a great just practice for improving your own confidence and your ability to just talk to random people. Sales is one of the most difficult things that you can do, and cold calling is probably one of the most difficult ways to do it. But if you have a good pitch and if you can identify good potential customers, direct outreach can be really, really good. And again, that instant feedback that you get from customers, if you try the same sentence on the phone 10 times in a row and people just immediately hang up, probably you need to start with a different sentence, right? The next idea would be paid ads. So this is obviously shoots right up to the top on the money spectrum there. Obviously, paid ads are going to cost you money, but they can scale the amount of people that you can reach almost infinitely. And if you've never run paid ads before, you do need to be aware because you will likely have to spend a bit of money before you even find a good ad strategy that works in the first place and actually brings in consistent customers. But if you are launching with a certain amount of budget and you think that ads will work well for you, then of course this is, put aside a little bit of money for some meta ads or some Google, YouTube ads and test the waters and see if it works for you. The third idea would be networking. So this is similar to direct outreach because you are going to local meetups or conferences, industry events, and you're going to where your ideal customers are going to hang out. It's a great way to meet people, make connections, and also pick up new customers. But at a networking event, I would suggest refraining from directly pitching yourself because most people at networking events are not there to be sold to. They're not there to, pull out their wallet and buy stuff. They're there to make connections as well. But if you go to local meetups, events, again, online conferences, whatever it might be, and you show up all the time, people start to recognize your face, people start to remember you and what you do. You can slowly, kind of enter that industry and become one of the people that is known for that thing that you do. And then, just like we mentioned before, even if you don't have the most mind-blowing, unique selling proposition or the most mind-blowing value statement, it doesn't matter because when people think of that service that you provide, they think of you first because they know you. And so you're making headway just by showing up and mingling with people and making those connections in your industry. Finally, we have content marketing, which I think everyone is aware of at this stage. Facebook's nothing new. This could include, of course, social media, blogging, starting a podcast. And these seldomly yield quick results. So if you're in a pinch and you need your first customer yesterday, don't start content marketing. But this is a great long-term strategy. And publishing content is generally going to be cheap or free unless you hire someone to do it. So pushing out that content that makes people aware of the kind of problems you solve, how you solve them, shows off your unique, method of solving them, whatever it might be, is also, a good way to get yourself out there at low cost. And the nice thing about content marketing is if you have any, let's say a post on Instagram or a reel, whatever it might be, that people seem to really, really resonate with, gets a lot of attention, maybe even goes, semi-viral. That's great content to put some money behind and create into an ad because if people liked seeing it for free, and the algorithm rewarded that, then pushing it out to even more people with a little bit of budget behind it could really help your business. So for most business owners, new business owners, I should say, I recommend starting with direct outreach and networking because it's fast, it's personal, and you can learn quickly, what resonates with your target audience and what does not. And finally, the fourth system, your online presence. So your online presence, your websites, your social medias, your blog, if you do a podcast, whatever it might be, however you want to show up online, it all of it should be designed to create awareness for your business and funnel attention, as it says here, towards a focused destination. And in general, that should be, either the buy button on your website or book a call or get a demo. You want to get people as close as you can to a sale, if not getting them to a sale through all of that content online. So to keep things simple, again, just think of where you need to lead people. What is the final destination in their path to becoming a customer? And all of the content that you create should be guiding them in that direction. And it's going to look something like a funnel. If you've ever, checked out a sales funnel or taken a sales class, the funnel is the classic representation of how we do this. So let's look at it in a bit more detail. So think of your digital presence as a funnel. First off, we have probably content because it meets people where they already are. No one is hanging out on your website for fun, right? They hang out on Instagram, they hang out on LinkedIn, they hang out on these different platforms, Reddit, wherever it might be. So it meets people where they already are online and draws attention away from where they are to you. And next, we try to get those people then over to your website. Why the website? I think your website is worth its weight in gold because everywhere else that your business could show up online is rented space. Facebook doesn't care about your business. LinkedIn doesn't care about your business. TikTok doesn't care about your business. They care about people staying on their platform and consuming content and scrolling all day long. So the longer you could create the best content in the world, but if someone loves it and is thinking, "Wow, that's such a cool thing," or "I love that product. How interesting is that?" "Oh, look at this video of a puppy." And suddenly, poof, they've forgotten all about your product. It happens all the time. I mean, how many of us, I know I've sat there with my phone scrolling something in the evening and I see something where I think, wow, how cool is that? I should really Google that. And then I just scroll for 30 more seconds and whatever it was is just gone forever. I have no idea what it was. And I even think to myself, I swear there was something that I just saw that I wanted to check out. What was it? Gosh, I don't know. Oh well, keep scrolling, right? This happens to all of us, and that's what these platforms are designed for. So we need to get people off the platform. If we want them to spend more than 3 seconds thinking about our business and how it might help them, we have to move them somewhere else. And your website removes the distractions of other content and it helps them hyper focus at least for a short amount of time on your offer, which is hopefully crystal clear, which means they won't need a long time to consume it, right? So it's unlikely that anyone will be paying attention to you for a long time. So you only have those few precious seconds on content social media, blogs, etc., to move people over to your website, to your landing page. And then on your website, the next step, you need to have a clear, what many people in the business refer to as a call to action. So just, I don't want to be insulting, but I have to say you have to consider that your customers are the stupidest people in the world. And I don't mean that they are stupid, and obviously you shouldn't treat them as if they are stupid, but you need to make it so clear what they should do in order to get that product, get that service, start a conversation with you. It just has to be brain dead simple. And you will see this on so many websites of, great big companies. Just go to any of their websites. They will have the same button prompting the same action 20 times on one web page. Book a demo here, and then you scroll down 1/3 of a second, book a demo, book a demo, book a demo, or, get your copy now, get your copy now, get your copy now. You have to, you don't, because you don't know, your website is, probably set up. You have the top, it introduces who you are, then maybe you have some testimonials, then maybe you have an explanation of your services, and you don't know at which stage of that little website journey people are going to be convinced and want to take the next step. So it's best to give them that option to take the next step all over the place, right? That's what the call to action is for. So it tells potential customers what to do next if they're interested. And, you know, you might think it should be obvious, but I guarantee it's not. Customers need to be told explicitly what to do to prevent any potential confusion and to prevent them from leaving the website, even interested in your product or service, never to come back again. And obviously, hopefully at the end, this results in a sale or a meeting or a demo or some way that you can potentially get to a sale, pitch them your services. So each step has a purpose. Just like when you're interested in someone romantically, you don't jump straight to asking them to be your wife or your husband, right? You go on a first date, you meet their friends, you meet their mom and dad and their family. Customers also need clear but gentle guidance when it comes to your online presence, right? So let's recap. Get yourself a clear offer. The clearer, the shorter, the more concise, the better. Next up, map that client flow. Again, it doesn't have to be a 3-month endeavor, making every step of their journey precise and beautiful and with custom forms and surveys and everything. But you need to at least know what's going to happen so that when they ask, you can tell them. And maybe you can tell them, hey, I'm going to send you, that website form so I can get all your details. It's okay if you don't have it yet. Spend the next 2 hours after that sales call making it, right? But whatever it is, you need to know what happens next so you can tell your clients. Your outreach, choose and commit to an outreach strategy because probably none of them are going to yield results within an hour or a day or a week or a month. So whatever it is that you're doing, you need to do it for at least 3 to 6 months probably before you can absolutely say with confidence that it either works or does not work. And then finally, of course, build a digital presence that drives action. That doesn't just bring awareness, but it also drives action from your customers. Thanks again for being here. Thanks again to Doers Circle. I hope this talk has given you a framework to move forward with, again, that buzzword, clarity. And I am happy to take any questions and go deeper into anything that we touched on today.
Thanks so much, Ben. I really appreciate it. I think the one of the clear things you said is about clarity. Simple is key. I think these are great lessons that anybody could take and apply. Even if you are a little further in your journey as well, there's no reason why you couldn't revisit these things and think, am I ticking all of these boxes right now? If I don't have a clear offer, then how can I do that differently as well? So really appreciate
The,
that.
the only difference between a big business and a small business is a big business will hire a consulting firm to answer these questions for them. Small business has to just do it by themselves.
Thanks, Ben. extremely insightful presentation, and I think it will help solopreneurs, freelancers, and founders. I had one question on automation. I know you already said, especially around client flow, that you don't have to spend a lot of time at the beginning
Mhm.
mapping out the process technically in that sense, but you need to be clear as to what the process is.
Yeah.
But in these four steps, where do you think automation is required pretty early to get the business kind of organized well? And I also want to kind of go a bit deeper on outreach from an automation point of view. Do you think there needs to be a little more automation there so that we don't lose clients, drop clients along the pipeline?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I would say this is where a good CRM can come into place, and shameless plug, Full Scope has a great CRM designed for people running small businesses, freelancing, consulting by themselves. Um, I I regret deeply the first probably 10 years of my solo business life not using a CRM because those three letters are so magical. And the reason is similar to the reason that I mentioned with the, scroll and forget kind of stuff that happens to you, is that your brain just only has so much space, right? And hopefully, if you're out there in the world, you're networking, you're meeting people, you're making connections, whether those people be direct potential customers or just interesting connections in your community or industry, after 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, there's just no way realistically to remember all of those people and and be able to call them to mind later down the road when it might be interesting or convenient or make good business sense. So having it's not as much automation, although I will specify which parts I personally automate, but having a system like a CRM, customer relationship manager, where you can start to plug all of those connections in and keep track of them. Who are they? When did I meet them? What did we talk about when we met? When I go to a networking event, I always go home every night, or rather go to to the hotel if I'm on the road, and I just add every single person into my CRM, and I just write a little note about what we talked about. Did they mention how they have a dog, or did we only talk pure business, whatever it might be? Because just the plain fact of writing it down helps your brain to categorize it and recall it later. But also, if let's say you have a yearly event for your industry that's big and you go every year you can go to your CRM, find the people that you met at last year's event, just do a brief overview, who they were, what was their name, where did they work, what did you talk about, if you talked at all. And then when you show up to that event and say, "Oh my gosh, Suzanne, hey, how are you? I know, last year you were talking about how your dog had worms. Oh, I hope that everything's okay. How is the little guy? Is he is just as spry? You showed me those photos. He was so cute." And people will think that you are a networking god. Honest, that like I have just by doing this had multiple people say, "Oh my, how did you remember that? That is so impressive." Like, I'm just a genius. But where I automate is when people in my CRM are specifically interesting, or even let's say past customers who I think I should reach out to them probably every 3, 6 months, whatever, to see what they're up to. Then that's where I add the automation to just automatically, just like a reminder on your phone. I go to my CRM, I say, okay, this person, I just finished a job with them. I know the kind of work I offer to them is probably something they'll need again in 6 months' time or a year's time, whatever it might be. So let me set myself a reminder to ping me in 4 months, 6 months, whatever it might be, to just shoot them an email, say, "Hey, how's it going? I hope everything is still going great with the last, job I did for you. Let me know if there's any way we can reconnect. If you're still in need of any services, or if you have new offers, then you can, think, hey, my business is now also offering this on top of my standard services, and I thought of you because I think it could really, be valuable to your business." And as you do this over time, as you follow up with people, again, in whichever ways that you think might make sense for your business, you just drastically improve the chances of reconnecting and staying top of mind. And I think I don't know if you all know Brian Hood. He has a great podcast. It's called Six Figure Creative. Wonderful content. And he went through his business because he's also just a really techie guy and organizes and categorizes everything and just has data for days. And I'm pretty sure I'm not quoting the exact number, but it was something like, he said something like 25 or 30 or 40% of the money he made was directly a result of following up with people months after meeting them. Months and months, if not, he said he had a follow-up process that went for 2 years. So if he ever met anyone who was a potential customer or interested in, doing business with him or anything at all, he plugged them into his CRM and he had a follow-up process that went with them for 2 years. And he could actually see how much money his business made based on following these people along. And of course, not every day annoying them, but just every couple months when convenient, reaching out, reconnecting, again, just keeping yourself top of mind. So automating something like that, especially, you would think, oh, I'm just starting. I don't have that many contacts. Like I can remember all of this. You can't. You won't. You will mess it up. You will probably, I know I've done this myself, you will drop the ball even with customers who are express direct interest with starting work with you like today. You will, your email inbox will get full. A week will go by. Your cat got sick, and your kids are annoying you, and a month will go by, and suddenly you'll think, oh my God, I forgot to write that guy who actually was like holding out money and saying, take this, I want to do business with you. And even that I forgot. It will happen. Guarantee it. So don't let that happen. Have a system in place like a CRM. Track these people, automate particularly at least the reminders to yourself to check in, and that can save you a lot of time, headache, and if you don't do it, I guarantee you're leaving money on the table.
Love that. Yeah, that's a great answer. And even though there's a psychology in the fact of like what you mentioned as well about the CRM, like if people feel like you really listen to them, then it just goes a long way as well. Because I think sometimes people think, oh, okay, maybe nobody really cares about what I think. But if you can recall something, even a tidbit a year
Yeah,
later or something, that goes a long way building that relationship.
exactly. And I think it also, it's not a trickery. It shows you did authentically care enough to
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
well, that person seems interesting, or I want to, stay connected to them, and what they said to me, I don't want to forget it. So you put it down somewhere. You went and looked at it again later. So it's not just about the impressive, oh my gosh, he remembers my name and my dog's name and all this stuff. It's about, taking the extra time and effort to stand out at those events that you're spending your time, you're spending your
yeah,
money. What's the point of all of it if you go the next year and you're like, oh, it's you. Oh, I'm sorry. What was
yeah.
your name? What do you do? What a waste. What a huge waste when you could take 15 minutes in the evening and just type this all down and have this lovely document to return to and magically, help you to reconnect and just grease the wheels with all of these wonderful people that you're meeting.
Yeah, and there was a stat I read a while ago, obviously, because I've been in business development for quite a long time, so I'm sort of always thinking about the sort of types of things you mentioned. But something like 3% of your audience, like as in customers, are in market to buy at that moment. So it's
Hmm.
essential that you be in touch with them at least once a quarter because things can change, budgets can change, priorities can change. Obviously, if you previously worked with them on a project, that helps because there's that familiarity. So absolutely agree with you. I think, have that touch point. It doesn't have to be very aggressive. It's just reminding them that you're there, just like advertising. The whole reason why big brands like Coca-Cola and so on advertise is to keep them in your mind. It's not to necessarily find brand new customers because most people probably already know who they are. But that's the
Yep.
job of that. I think. So CRM essential in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, another great automation tool would be a social media manager, because number one, when you're starting out, let's say, unless you're already just like a LinkedIn pro, or you're already, you just love TikTok and you're like, I'm going to make TikToks for my business because I already do it for myself anyways, personally. And I just know how it works. I love the platform. I spend time on it anyways. But a lot of people, when they start out, they're like, oh, I need to show up on social media, but I don't know where or how. And a social media tool, again, shameless plug, like the one we have at Fullscope, can help you to post content across all the platforms at once. And especially for a new business and for someone who's not exactly sure which social media, platform might resonate most with their potential customers, doing that across all the platforms for just like 3 months, let's say, that after you do that, you can then kind of start to see, oh, wow, you know what? I just get a lot more likes and engagement on Instagram. Or, you know what? Like people seem to really comment on my stuff a lot on LinkedIn. And then you can say with more confidence, okay, it really looks like TikTok, as a, at least for the content that I like to create or am capable of creating at this moment in time, it's crickets over on TikTok. So, hey, get rid of that and focus more on the stuff that you need. That's one way automation can help you out, not having to post individually on every single one of these platforms and waste half of your day just clicking submit and posting. The other way is that I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of repetition required in your offer. So our job is not to say 1,000 different things. It's to find 1,000 different ways to say maybe 3 to 5 important things that resonate with our
Mm.
customers and will inspire them, hopefully, to get off that platform, go check out our website, maybe, get in a call with us or buy a product or do a demo, whatever it might be. And so having a tool that can, for example, repurpose your content, repost it every 2 weeks, every month, every 3 months, because the amount of people, even your followers, who actually see your content when you post it, the statistics are sad. They're very, very sad. So even the followers, people who have expressed interest in you, your business, your content, your account, whatever it might be, even the people who follow you often aren't seeing that content. So there's no
Yeah.
harm in posting the same thing twice. And
Yeah.
as
100%.
good a social media management tool, for example, like ours can do evergreen posts, which just repost themselves every month, or automate, for example, our platform can connect with your Google reviews and automatically post them as social media posts every time a new review comes in. So that beautiful social proof of people, hopefully happy customers who are kind enough to leave you a review automatically goes to social media and is shown to other people who are following you. So little things
That's
like
pretty
that
awesome.
can help you test the waters more quickly, save you a lot of time, and also keep your social presence somewhat alive, even if you don't have the time to think of and create new content, every day, every week.
Brilliant. I'm mindful of time. I think maybe we can go a couple of extra minutes if that's all right. Just if you don't have to shoot straight off on the hour, on the half hour, sorry.
No,
Um,
I'm good.
there's
I'm
a
good.
there's a couple of questions that are kind of related, so maybe I'll ask them as a group and then we can touch on them because they both relate to content. So the first question is, how can I adapt content marketing now that AI is everywhere? And the second question says, can slightly messy or imperfect content actually build more trust than something which is super polished, which I think can tie a little bit to the point of AI, where AI seems to, aim for the most perfect, grammatically correct and everything in that sense. And
Hmm.
and then the follow up of that second question said, how do you decide how much time and effort is really worth putting into content creation?
Gotcha. Um, so to the first question, AI is a should be a tool that assists you, not a crutch. If you think that AI is going to solve all your problems and sell customers your products without you having to do anything except click, a button on ChatGPT, you are doomed. You are not going to have a great time, and you're going to end up crying in the corner and being very sad. So AI, of course, AI content is everywhere. But here's the thing, some people are doing great things with it. Some people are posting absolute garbage that nobody wants to watch and that doesn't get any views with it. So your job as a business owner is to look of course, at these interesting new developments in technology and decide, hey, can this help me? If it can, how can it help me? What could I do with it that I maybe couldn't do without it? Is it worth my time? Is it worth my energy? Is it worth paying money for if it's, something that isn't free? And test the waters. I think the one of the great things about doing your own thing, going off on your own, is that you'd have the freedom, assuming you're not drowning in bills and desperately need to make money, yesterday, like I probably mentioned before. You have the freedom to test different things and test AI. Why not? I mean, it couldn't hurt. Imagine the people who, like back in the day, thought Google was silly and didn't test running Google ads when they were dirt cheap, or people who thought Facebook was a fad and didn't test it. I think Gary Vee has a lot to say on this. It's like, hey, every new platform, go check it out, try it out. It couldn't hurt. And of course, to one of the later questions, how much time to dedicate to this, as much as you think is reasonable. Particularly if you think that your audience is reachable in a meaningful way via content, then make content. If you don't think they are, or also number two, if you're not the type of person who's going to be able to commit to creating content over a longer period of time, because content does not convert, next week. It takes a long, long time to build a following, to build a presence, to get, uh, SEO online that's going to actually bring people to your blog posts or to your podcast, whatever it might be. So in a way, if unless you're extremely confident about your content, you know, you might want to check out one of those other outreach systems we discussed first, like networking, like direct outreach, and do a little bit of content in the background just to, again, I think in a way it's nice to at least do the bare minimum just to show that your business is actually up and running and you are alive and you post things occasionally on the internet. You don't have to be on LinkedIn every day or do 3 blog posts a week. But if people go to your website and you have a blog and they see the last post was from 3 years ago, they're going to wonder, like, oh, is
Yeah.
this business doing well? Or maybe they don't even work anymore. They just left the website online. I don't know. Right. So whatever you do, you need to commit to it to a certain amount in order for it to yield any results and not just end up actually reflecting poorly on you when you kick it to the curb.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I fully agree on that one. I think there's a good balance you can strike. And there's just one more question. So it
Mhm.
says if someone is getting views but no conversions, what's the first thing you would look out for?
I would look out for the actual call to action in that content itself. So if people are loving your content, they're watching the content, they're, let's say, liking it, engaging with it, commenting on it, whatever it might be, but it's not getting them closer to an actual, purchase, an actual business deal of some kind, then something about that content is off. It's missing a core component, which is that call to action in the content that brings people over, either, gets them to DM you or brings them to your website, gets them on a call, whatever it might be. So I would just, my first idea would be to take a look and say, hey, is this content clearly asking viewers to to take a clear next step if they're interested in my business or my products? If not, maybe clarify that in future content. And of course, it's also okay to just make fun content. And not every single piece of content has to be a sales piece. So you could just have some fun with your Instagram reels, and every 10th reel, you make one that's actually much more concrete about your services and how to reach out to you if you're interested in them, right? So um, that's another way. I think a lot of people I've seen, like, the meme content all for businesses are rolling out these days is outrageous. They're just like, there's so many memes, even from big
Yeah.
businesses. They're just like posting weird cat stuff, and it's
We we
it gets eyeballs on them, and it attracts that and pushes them in the algorithm, and then their next post, which is probably a little more about their actual products or services, reaches that many more people, and so they're kind of like stair stepping, organic content sales content, organic content, sales content, slowly moving up the ladder.
We had a founder on a few weeks ago actually, and she was sharing how she's been testing out things like memes and such like that as well. Bearing in mind that she also works in a very traditional, like cultural heritage industry in that sense. So she's trying to do
Mm,
that as a way to stand out, and it's having a lot of success for her as well. So I think if if you can think about things that are relatable, that can generate some humor, there's that compounding effect a little bit like you mentioned with the CRM as well, of that if you put this content out now, people may see it, right? Like you would see a billboard when you walk down the street. That doesn't necessarily mean you might take an action at that very moment, but it's in your mind at the point when you are ready in that sense. So I'd also say, yeah, that of course you don't want the case that everything you do and there's no conversion, but if
yeah.
it doesn't always drive conversion, that's okay as long as it's building awareness or connecting in some way with potential customer for when the time's right.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're funny, that's a superpower. Like humor is a
Yeah.
superpower. If you can make fun, quirky, hilarious content that is actually, it's actually resonates in your niche and not just, a video of a cat falling off of a chair or something like this, but actually has something to do with your business and your product and your purpose, then that can help you to grab eyeballs, grab attention, and then you can follow up with the actual product or service. And again, I think it's a great idea for people who have a funny bone and can roll out content like
Mm.
that because not everybody can do it. Like I said, there are many ways for businesses and for freelancers to stand out that don't have to do with just having the most unique offer. You can just be that you could be that videographer who's just hysterical and posts really funny stuff, and people laugh and think, "Wow, I like people who make me laugh. So why wouldn't I want to work with this videographer instead of the videographer next door who looks, kind of sad and scary?"
Yeah, spot on. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. I know we've gone over a few minutes, but I really appreciate that as well. And to keep the plugs rolling in that sense, I think we want to just make members aware that actually, if you are a Doer Circle member, you can get access to FullScope's amazing suite of tools on the website as well. So I'll just quickly share the page for everybody if you're unaware of it. Haven't seen it thus far. If you can see the screen now. So if you go on doercircle.com/full-scope, or if you go on the marketplace and search full scope, you'll see that as well. Then you can see you can get started depending on how many users you might need. We have different options for you there as well. And the full scope team have been also very generous in offering a discount as well for members too. So that will be a great place to get started because I think there's just such a fantastic suite there of solutions that can help people. And we know that one of the biggest challenges that solopreneurs, freelancers, fractionals have is being able to operate on a budget when you don't have a whole HR team behind you or a whole investment team behind you funding all of these things. So, quite often these roll into your own overheads. So if you can find a way to be efficient with your tool set and save some money, then it's got to be a great thing, right? So um, hopefully that's something you might be interested in. I'm sure Ben could walk you through that on a separate session if needed as well. So just let us know later on. You can either send us a message on WhatsApp or pop it through the website if you want to learn a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. And I should also mention here that is a lifetime discount. So you will always have that price. And we, unlike many software platforms, we do personal one-on-one onboardings with you. We take time out of our day to help you set up your stuff and understand the tools, get your business up and running, a real person, not an AI bot, as I know people are
Yeah,
worried about these days. I'm really happy about the amount of reviews we get that specifically mention the customer service and the real humans that are standing by ready to help you. So hopefully that's an
yeah,
attractive offer. And yeah, I think especially for people out on their own, the more tools you have to juggle, the more time is being sucked away from your precious, precious life. And so why not just grab one tool that does it all in one place and saves you time, saves you money, and saves you the headache of trying to figure out how to run a business as a solopreneur with no one to help you and juggling like 7 different pieces of software that don't talk to each other, that aren't connected. I did that for a long, long time. That's why I'm at Full Scope now, because that sucks. And I don't want to see other people doing having the same struggle that I had.
Love that. And just the fact that you mentioned that you've been through this journey yourself as well can really help connect with the kind of challenges that these individuals will be having as well. I think it's not just, because sometimes you can be a technology company having a solution for something, but you haven't walked in their shoes as well, right? So you're kind of
Hmm.
obviously you're trying your best to kind of meet them where they are in that sense, but you still might not have that lived experience. I think having you there is a great asset for them as well. So yeah, I really appreciate that, Ben, and hopefully we can send a few members your way soon.
Awesome. I'd love to see them, meet them, find out what they're up to, and help them along their path.
Okay, I think that's about all we got time for. Yes, this.
Well, thank you very much, Ben, for working with us as a partner, offering your product on the platform, and also for helping our members, sharing your thoughts here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and hope maybe the next time to do this in person in
Yeah,
Singapore.
yeah, that's right.
You're getting ready for it with the women today. Oh, sorry. I was saying you're getting prepared for it with the hot weather today, right? So you're
Yeah,
be used to the humidity by the time.
there we go.
Hopefully, yeah. See you soon. Thanks very much, Ben. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.